Looking back on that, I really feel the stress of it.
Ben Affleck has been married twice, and both times the story ended in a way that felt strangely familiar. Both of his wives were named Jennifer, yet despite the different relationships, different years, and different circumstances, the ending followed a pattern that was hard to ignore. The first Jennifer, Jennifer Garner, stood by him for more than a decade. She gave him 15 years of her life, raised 3 children with him, and offered patience and support through struggles that would have pushed many relationships past their breaking point. The second Jennifer, Jennifer Lopez, lasted just 2 years before filing for divorce. Different chapters, same result. And according to many observers, Jennifer Garner recognized the warning signs long before anyone else because she had already lived through them herself. For years, Garner remained mostly quiet about what happened behind closed doors. But at 54, she finally shed light on the reality of her marriage, the habits and choices that ultimately made staying impossible, and why seeing history repeat itself gave her a sense of closure she never expected. In many ways, she had been the first version of a story Ben Affleck seemed destined to keep rewriting throughout his life. To understand how Jennifer Garner reached that point, it helps to look at who she was before fame, before Hollywood, and before Ben Affleck ever entered the picture. Jennifer Ann Garner was not raised in a world of red carpets and celebrity culture. She was born in Houston, Texas, before her family eventually settled in Charleston, West Virginia. Her father worked as a chemical engineer, while her mother managed the household and occasionally taught English classes. Life in the Garner household was structured, modest, and deeply rooted in traditional values. Jennifer and her 2 sisters grew up under strict rules. Makeup and nail polish were off limits until high school. Ear piercings had to wait until they turned 16. Sundays were reserved for church, family, and routine. There was nothing glamorous about her upbringing. In fact, it was about as far from Hollywood as a childhood could be. Jennifer was the middle daughter and often found herself playing the role of peacemaker. She wanted harmony. She wanted everyone around her to be happy. From the age of 3, she immersed herself in ballet lessons and later became involved in community theater productions. For years, she dreamed of becoming a professional dancer rather than a movie star. Her mother once described her as a child who took disappointment especially hard. Jennifer was not upset because she feared punishment. She became emotional because she worried she had let someone down. That tendency stayed with her throughout her life. The urge to fix problems, hold relationships together, and keep fighting for people she loved would eventually shape some of the most painful experiences she would ever face. At 18, Jennifer left West Virginia to attend Denison University in Ohio. Originally focused on chemistry, she later realized her passion was elsewhere and transferred into drama studies. It was a decision that would completely alter the direction of her future. After college, she moved first to New York City and later to Los Angeles, hoping to build an acting career. Success did not come quickly. She spent years auditioning for roles, taking small television parts, and struggling to establish herself. She worked hard, faced rejection after rejection, and often found herself competing for opportunities that never materialized. Like many aspiring actors, she experienced far more setbacks than victories during those early years. In 2000, she married actor Scott Foley after meeting him through the television series Felicity. Their relationship seemed refreshingly simple compared to the chaotic romances often dominating entertainment headlines. There were no major scandals, no dramatic public disputes, and very little tabloid attention. They appeared genuinely happy together. Unfortunately, the marriage did not survive. By 2003, the couple had divorced. Jennifer rarely discussed the breakup publicly and never turned it into a public feud. She consistently avoided criticizing Foley and simply explained that they had grown apart. According to her, they had been young, circumstances had changed, and no single person was to blame. The chapter closed quietly, without bitterness or public accusations. Yet that same year would completely transform the course of her life. In 2003, Jennifer Garner was cast opposite Ben Affleck in the superhero film Daredevil. She played Elektra, a skilled assassin who becomes involved with Affleck's character. The movie itself failed to impress critics and did not become the blockbuster many had expected. Reviews were disappointing, audiences were lukewarm, and the project quickly faded from the spotlight. What did not fade, however, was the connection formed between its 2 stars. At the time, Ben Affleck was not available. He was engaged to Jennifer Lopez, and together they were one of the most talked-about celebrity couples in the world. The media could not get enough of them. Cameras followed them everywhere. Every appearance generated headlines. The nickname Bennifer became part of pop culture history, and their relationship seemed impossible to escape. Meanwhile, Jennifer Garner stood on the opposite end of the celebrity spectrum. She was private, recently divorced, and far less interested in publicity. From her perspective, she was watching a man navigate an intense level of attention that few people could truly understand. Garner has repeatedly stated that they did not begin a romantic relationship during the filming of Daredevil. Even so, many believe something meaningful began developing between them. Whether it was friendship, admiration, or simply a connection waiting for the right moment, something had clearly been planted that neither of them forgot. When Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez officially ended their engagement in January 2004, the news dominated headlines worldwide. Months later, when Affleck and Garner were seen together, the reaction was noticeably different. The coverage was calmer, softer, less explosive. Many people immediately viewed Jennifer Garner as exactly the kind of partner Ben needed. She appeared grounded, stable, and focused on family rather than fame. To outsiders, she looked like someone capable of bringing balance into a life that often seemed overwhelmed by chaos. But Jennifer Garner was not entering the relationship blindly. She understood the pressures surrounding Ben Affleck better than many realized. She had witnessed the non-stop attention surrounding his previous relationship. She had seen how intense fame could wear a person down. She knew the challenges waiting ahead and did not rush into anything without serious thought. At 32 years old, she had already experienced one failed marriage. She knew how painful it was to build a future with someone only to watch it unravel. Because of that, she approached this new relationship carefully. Friends who knew her during that period have said she moved slowly, asked difficult questions, and wanted certainty before making any major commitments. Unlike the public excitement surrounding their romance, Jennifer's focus was not on headlines or fairy tale narratives. She wanted something real, something lasting. She had already learned how quickly relationships could fall apart when the foundation was weak. This time, she was determined to make sure she was building on solid ground. At least, that was the hope. What neither Jennifer nor the public fully understood at the time was that the challenges ahead would test every ounce of patience, loyalty, and resilience she possessed. The relationship that looked so promising from the outside would eventually become one of the most difficult chapters of her entire life. But Ben Affleck did not give up easily. He was charismatic, confident, and knew exactly how to win people over when he wanted to. Friends often described him as someone who could light up an entire room with his personality. Eventually, Jennifer Garner let her guard down and gave the relationship a chance. The biggest influence in Jennifer's life was not a mentor, manager, or Hollywood executive. It was the values she grew up with. Everything she believed about loyalty, family, and commitment came from her upbringing in West Virginia. She was raised by parents whose marriage lasted for decades. She grew up surrounded by church services, family dinners, and the belief that promises were meant to be honored no matter how difficult things became. Jennifer often spoke about how her parents' relationship shaped her view of marriage. She believed that real commitment meant working through challenges instead of walking away when things got tough. In her mind, marriage was supposed to last forever. That belief would carry her through 15 years with Ben Affleck. It would also become one of the hardest lessons of her life. On June 29, 2005, Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck got married during a private ceremony in Turks and Caicos. Jennifer was already expecting their first child. The wedding reflected exactly who she was. It was small, intimate, and almost completely hidden from public view. There were no massive celebrity guest lists, no flashy magazine exclusives, no media frenzy circling overhead. The ceremony included only a handful of people, including longtime friend and Alias co-star Victor Garber, who served as a witness. Instead of creating a Hollywood spectacle, Jennifer wanted something real. She wanted their marriage to be about building a life together, not creating headlines. A few months later, their first daughter Violet was born. 2 years after that came Serafina. Then, in 2012, their son Samuel completed the family. From the outside, everything appeared picture perfect. They had a beautiful home in Pacific Palisades, 3 children, successful careers, and what looked like a strong family foundation. To many people, they seemed to have achieved exactly what they both wanted, but appearances can be deceiving. The truth was that some challenges had been present from the very beginning. Ben Affleck had publicly discussed his long-standing struggles with alcohol. He had sought treatment before their marriage and would continue addressing those challenges in the years ahead. For him, recovery was not a simple journey. It was something that required constant effort, commitment, and support. Jennifer understood this when she married him. She accepted the reality of those challenges and believed that a stable home environment, strong family connections, and consistent support could help strengthen their future together. For a time, it seemed like things were moving in the right direction. But there were other issues that could not be solved so easily. Ben thrived in the spotlight. He enjoyed the energy, attention, and excitement that came with being one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Jennifer, on the other hand, preferred a much quieter life. While many celebrities chased publicity, she often did the opposite. She enjoyed school events, family routines, and spending time away from cameras whenever possible. Their personalities were very different. They cared about each other deeply, but their visions of daily life did not always match. One was comfortable living in the center of public attention. The other wanted peace and privacy far away from it. Over time, rumors began circulating throughout the entertainment media. Stories surfaced about late nights, unexplained absences, and questions surrounding the state of the marriage. Much of it remained speculation, but the constant chatter created additional pressure around an already struggling relationship. Meanwhile, Jennifer focused on what she had always focused on: her family. She poured her energy into raising their children, maintaining stability at home, and keeping everything running smoothly. It was a role she naturally stepped into. Ever since childhood, she had been the person trying to hold things together when everything around her felt uncertain. By 2015, it had become increasingly clear that the marriage was facing serious difficulties. In June of that year, just one day after their 10th wedding anniversary, the couple publicly announced their separation. The timing shocked many people. After years of appearing united in public, the announcement sparked intense media attention. Soon afterward, stories involving Christine Uzunian, who had worked as the family's nanny, began dominating entertainment headlines. Photos and reports spread rapidly across tabloids and celebrity news outlets, creating one of the biggest celebrity stories of the year. The situation became a media storm almost overnight. Jennifer Garner suddenly found herself at the center of endless speculation and public discussion. Headlines appeared everywhere. Television programs debated the details. Magazines splashed the story across their covers. While many questions remained unanswered, the attention surrounding the situation placed enormous strain on an already fragile relationship. Neither Jennifer nor Ben publicly confirmed many of the claims circulating at the time. Yet regardless of what was true or false, the impact on public perception was undeniable. Trust had been damaged, and the marriage appeared to be reaching a breaking point. Most people assumed a divorce filing would happen immediately. It did not. Instead, Jennifer continued trying to move forward. She remained supportive through difficult periods and stood by Ben as he sought treatment and worked on personal challenges. She listened to apologies, heard promises about positive changes, and hoped things could improve. For years, she continued giving the relationship opportunities to recover. Then another major public moment shifted the conversation. In a widely discussed interview years later, Ben Affleck reflected on parts of the marriage and spoke about feeling unhappy during certain periods. His comments generated significant public debate and attracted widespread media coverage. When Jennifer was later asked about hearing those remarks, her reaction was notably restrained. She explained that she had not personally listened to the interview but had been told about some of the comments. According to her, hearing about them left her genuinely surprised. For many observers, the moment highlighted just how differently the two appeared to view the same chapter of their lives. Jennifer had spent years trying to preserve their family, support difficult recoveries, and maintain stability through countless challenges. Hearing certain aspects of that journey described publicly created a reaction that many people found understandable. Years earlier, Jennifer had shared a quote during an interview that would later take on even greater meaning. Speaking about Ben, she said, "When his sun shines on you, you feel it. But when the sun is shining elsewhere, it is cold." The quote stayed with people because it captured something powerful and deeply personal. When things were good, the relationship could feel warm, exciting, and full of possibility. But when attention shifted elsewhere, that warmth became much harder to find. Over time, Jennifer came to understand something important. No amount of love, patience, or determination could change another person's choices. She could support him. She could encourage him. She could hope for the future they both imagined. But she could not build that future alone. Eventually, she realized that some problems could not be fixed simply by trying harder. Many relationships do not end with one dramatic moment. Instead, they slowly drift apart over time. The distance grows little by little until one day both people realize they are no longer moving in the same direction. For Jennifer, that understanding brought clarity. She could not force someone to want the exact life she wanted. She could not carry the entire relationship by herself, and she could not spend the rest of her life waiting for things to become what they once seemed capable of being. In April 2017, Jennifer Garner officially filed for divorce. Even then, she handled the process with the same grace that had defined much of her public image. She sought joint custody of their children and avoided turning the divorce into a public battle. There were no explosive interviews, no attempts to publicly embarrass him, no lengthy public attacks. Despite everything that had happened, she remained focused on protecting her family and creating as much stability as possible for the people who mattered most. After years of trying to hold everything together, Jennifer Garner finally chose something different. She chose peace, and for the first time in a very long time, that decision was not about saving someone else. It was about saving herself. And here is the part that still shocks a lot of people. Even after the divorce was finalized, even after Ben Affleck moved on and began new relationships, Jennifer Garner continued showing up when it mattered most. While many people expected anger, resentment, or public criticism, Jennifer chose a different path. She stayed focused on what was best for her children and continued working toward a healthy co-parenting relationship. To many observers, that level of patience seemed almost impossible after everything they had been through together. The truth is that Jennifer was no longer trying to save Ben Affleck. That chapter was over. Instead, she was focused on protecting Violet, Serafina, and Samuel. She understood that children should never feel responsible for their parents' problems or be forced to choose sides. No matter what happened between the adults, she wanted her children to feel secure, supported, and loved by both parents. That kind of strength often goes unnoticed because it happens quietly, away from cameras and headlines. But it may have been one of the most difficult roles she ever took on. Then came the development that seemed to confirm everything Jennifer had already learned during her own marriage. In 2021, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez reunited, bringing Bennifer back into the spotlight. Suddenly, the media frenzy returned. Every public appearance became a headline. Every vacation photo generated new stories. They got engaged, married, blended their families, purchased new homes, and stepped back into the kind of celebrity attention that had once made them the most talked-about couple in the world. While all of that was happening, Jennifer Garner stayed exactly where she had always been. She remained focused on her family, her work, and her everyday life. She was not chasing headlines or making public comments. She continued showing up at school events, supporting her children, and living the quieter lifestyle she had always preferred. While cameras followed every move of Ben and Jennifer Lopez, Garner seemed completely comfortable staying outside the spotlight and focusing on what mattered most to her. Then, in 2024, news broke that Jennifer Lopez had filed for divorce. After only 2 years of marriage, the relationship was coming to an end. The headlines exploded once again. Entertainment outlets immediately began comparing the breakup to Ben's previous marriage. Commentators discussed similarities, analyzed timelines, and debated what had gone wrong. For many people watching from the outside, the situation felt strangely familiar. Different relationships, different circumstances, but some of the same questions resurfaced all over again. Throughout all the media attention, Jennifer Garner remained silent. She did not give interviews criticizing her former husband. She did not appear interested in proving herself right. She did not celebrate anyone else's heartbreak. Instead, she kept living her life. In many ways, her silence spoke louder than any public statement ever could. She seemed to understand something long before everyone else finally caught up. Some relationships end not because people stop caring, but because they ultimately want different things from life. Today, Jennifer Garner is thriving both personally and professionally. She continues acting, runs successful business ventures, and remains heavily involved with Once Upon a Farm. Unlike many celebrities who constantly seek attention, Jennifer has always seemed happiest when balancing work with family life. She takes projects she enjoys, stays active in causes she believes in, and maintains a level of privacy that is increasingly rare in Hollywood. Her children are growing up quickly as well. Violet has entered adulthood and begun building her own future. Serafina is navigating the teenage years, while Samuel is growing into a young man with his own opinions and interests. Through every stage of their lives, Jennifer has remained a steady presence. No matter what was happening publicly, her focus stayed on creating stability and support for her family. One thing that continues to stand out is how carefully Jennifer has handled discussions about Ben Affleck. Despite years of challenges, public scrutiny, and difficult moments, she has consistently avoided speaking negatively about him in public. Not during the divorce, not during major controversies, not during highly publicized interviews, and not when old wounds were reopened by media coverage years later. That level of restraint has earned her enormous respect from people who admire the way she handled such a difficult situation under constant public attention. In interviews about co-parenting and personal growth, Jennifer has often emphasized the importance of time and healing. She has suggested that bitterness rarely improves a situation and that focusing on what truly matters is often the healthiest path forward. More than anything, she has repeatedly made it clear that her priority is ensuring her children feel loved, supported, and protected. That mindset reveals how much her perspective has evolved over the years. For a long time, Jennifer believed that enough love, patience, and commitment could solve almost any problem. She gave years of her life trying to hold her family together. She believed in second chances, third chances, and the possibility that people could change if they truly wanted to. But eventually, she learned a difficult lesson that many people face at some point in life. You cannot make choices for someone else. You cannot carry another person's journey on your shoulders. No matter how much you care, every individual must ultimately decide their own path. When Jennifer finally accepted that reality, everything seemed to change. She stopped carrying burdens that were never hers to carry. She stopped waiting for outcomes she could not control. Most importantly, she stopped defining her future through someone else's decisions. Instead of focusing on what she had lost, she focused on what she still had: her children, her career, her independence, her peace of mind. Looking back now, Jennifer Garner's story is not really about heartbreak. It is about resilience. It is about grace under pressure. It is about finding strength when life does not go according to plan. While many people expected her story to end with bitterness or regret, it ended with something much more powerful. She rebuilt her life, stayed true to herself, and emerged stronger than ever. After years of navigating one of Hollywood's most public relationships, Jennifer Garner finally stopped waiting for things to change. She stopped waiting for someone else to become who she hoped they would be. Instead, she created her own happiness, her own stability, and her own future. And in the end, that may have been her greatest victory of all. Jennifer Garner's journey proves that sometimes the strongest people are not the loudest ones. Through heartbreak, public scrutiny, and years of challenges, she stayed focused on her family and kept moving forward. In the end, she didn't need revenge or public validation. She found something far more valuable: peace. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments.